Welcome to the Invincible Innovation Show, the podcast for changemakers. Each week, I talk to the most fascinating entrepreneurs and innovation leaders about innovation, strategy, and design. Hey everyone! Today we're talking about the premise of AI-based startup, and I'm very excited to have this talk. Welcome to Invincible Innovation Live Show. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Mazor, Kario, product innovation and value creation expert. And I have a very, very special guest with me. Hi, Yair.
Hi.
First, I'm happy that you're here with me. Yair is a friend and the founder and CEO of Bria. And we know from working together and we're good friends, and I'm sure we're going to have like a nice talk today. So I'm so happy that you're here with me.
I'm happy to be here, Adi. Thank you very much.
Sure, we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and you're so invited to join the discussion and ask questions. And now we can start. So I want you to tell us a bit about Bria and about the potential of the AI and creativity.
Bria is a startup with a vision to reinvent the visual communication. Visual communication is extremely important for us as humans. Almost every job that we do involves some visual aspect. We take advantage of the generative AI. Generative AI is a new field, a new revolution in AI, where the AI can generate, create, modify visual data that was not there before, a new data. And we create a platform where anyone can generate or modify visual for business goal only by AI, without a camera and without a designer.
So I know that what you're doing it could help people in marketing and people in creativity. And what do you see the potential of AI compared to what we currently have with designers doing all the marketing stuff and recreating everything in Photoshop?
So we think of our user as the communicators. Who are the communicator? The communicator is someone with a business goal, which need visual in order to accomplish this visual goal. So it can be marketing, as you mentioned. It can be presentation. It can be internal and external communication. It can be sales collaterals. It can be e-commerce. It can be anything with visual. The communicators, they want to have the right visual for them, but they stuck. They need a designer. We help the communicator to have the visual that they need faster, maybe without a designer, and we help the designer to create visual, which would be much harder to create without an AI. So the AI remove technical barrier both for the designer and to the communicator.
And do you think that currently there are so many images online? What are the cases that you think that they will not find? They have these image banks and everything that they can modify the images. So how could that help if they have an AI for that?
It's never the image that I need. It's almost the image that I need. This is the reason why there are cameras and photographer in production days. Uh, it's not the right color. It's not the right facial expression. It's not the right presenter. I need that the background would be more urban. It's always 80% what I need. Then I need to take it to a designer and ask the designer to modify some of the stuff. But the designer, it's slow, it's complicated, and sometimes they cannot change, for example, the presenter or his facial expression or the background. So it's not about creating new visual. It's about to adjust the visual to the goal of the communicator. It's a little bit different in the illustration. In the illustration, usually you have crazy ideas and you try to generate something which is completely new. I need a raccoon in space eat sushi. I will not find raccoon in space eat sushi. I will need that someone will generate it. And here you see a lot of text to image system that able to generate this illustration. But even then, after I have the first sketch or the first visual, I look on the image and I say, I prefer it will not be sushi. I prefer it will be something else. And I need that the color of the raccoon shirt will be blue because this is my brand colors. So it's always we always need something a little bit different.
Yeah. So tell me, why did you decide to create Bria? So what was the initial vision?
Uh, I, I have a PhD in computer vision, and this is the ultimate computer vision company. You can create any visual you need.
Yeah.
You enable anyone to have the exact visual he needs for his commercial goal. This is the ultimate computer vision.
Do you understand people that are a bit afraid of an AI tool, or about what are the capabilities that could be used with AI in that sense?
I think that people sometimes afraid not only from AI but also from technology in general. Technology and AI just make this process much faster. Technology change the world, make things much more automate. Uh, Comes with benefit, but on the other hand, came with risk. And AI is kind of one big black box, black magic that I don't know exactly how it works and how it creates stuff, which is weird. I can understand why people are afraid of it. I don't think that this is. Um, I don't think that we need to afraid of it. I think that we need to mitigate it, to manage it, to have a responsible AI when we build product. But I can understand why people are afraid of it.
So could you imagine a product, an AI product that you yourself would find a bit like that's too much, I wouldn't do that? Not visual, just thinking about the capacity of a computer um,
And
with their own intelligence.
it's a it's a it's a little bit a philosophical question, or maybe a tech philosophical question. There are products existing today that I'm not willing to use them, and I'm not let my daughters to use it. TikTok, I'm afraid of TikTok, but
Mhm.
the reason that I'm afraid of TikTok is not because I consider that as a black box. I did some research. I understand what they're trying to do, or I think I understand what they're trying to do, and I decided that this is not something which is not good for me. Now, there is no difference between in my opinion, between the physical world and the virtual world. I'm not going to all of the places in the planet because some places I think that they are not good for me. I'm not doing anything on the planet because I'm thinking that some things are not good for me. Same on the virtual world. I think that TikTok is not good for me. So I think that we
And
need to learn and to take this conscious decision, what is good and what is not good, and what you
yeah,
want to do. It's a little bit
I thought,
philosophical.
no, I thought that you would give me another answer. That you would, I tell you what I imagined, that you know the limitations of AI and how complicated it is. And what we imagine that the computer will start to think instead of us and everybody will be fired is not here yet in any case. So it's so much more complicated than what people imagine.
People will not get fired. People will involved. People will do something else. When Harrison Ford invent the car, a lot of people lost their job because people you don't need horses anymore, and then you need driver. When somebody will have the autonomous driver, you will not need driver, but you will need something else. People will not lose their job. They will need to adjust themselves to the new technology. Technology always automate process, and they will need to find something else to do. People that will stay behind and will not adapt, they will have a problem. Like always, there's nothing new. And again, if I will go back to your question, there are things even in my domain that I decided that it's not good for me, that I'm not going to do that, that I think that it will be very hard to build a responsible AI product in this domain. For example, to do what I'm doing for consumer, I think it's a problem.
Give me an example. What do you mean? Like all the face beauty filters and all of that?
Unlike the common or some of the common text to image technology like DALI, we focus on a photorealism. The visual that we generate look like someone take the picture, and then you can customize it. And if you will give it to consumer, they can customize it in a way which not reflect the reality, and to abuse the technology. And I don't think that this is the right thing to do. I don't want to be the one that at 12 years old take a photo of his friend and then made several of modification in the photo, and now he is doing shaming with this photo. This is abuse of this technology. So I aim for corporate businesses.
Yeah, I totally understand. So what do you think is the biggest challenge for AI today?
I think that you see more and more challenge in AI today to build system that can earn the trust of the public. After 20 years of AI, people understand that this is a very, very massive, strong tool, and they are not willing to take what the engineers/companies says as is, and they are trying to ask questions very justifully. By the way, they should ask questions: how does it work? Why you did it in the way that you did it? How did you gather the data? Is the result are unbiased? Is the system is good to me? Is it improve the society in general or not? And I think that this type of question about AI, we'll talk about the technical stuff in a second, but I think that this type of question about AI, about product that based on AI, will be more and more relevant in the next few years. Make sense? I think that they take it to a completely different direction.
No, I think it makes sense because we're, after all, you're as a founder, you decide where you put your talents and expertise, right? And you decide that you understand that this is a very powerful tool, and you want to use these capacities to do something that is good as you see it. So I totally understand that. So as a start, when we're thinking about entrepreneurs and startups,
but maybe another word about AI. Usually when people ask this question about where are the challenges in AI, they don't talking about the challenge of make the AI product accessible to the public, or how to build trust. Talking about what is hard when you develop an AI tool, and I think that what my opinion, it's how to develop system which can work cross-platform. So in many cases, when you develop something in AI, it's work for this specific task, but it's how to make it to work on another task. And I'm a big believer in generative AI, which is not AI, it's the next evolution of AI. And I think that in generative AI, the challenge is how to automatically or semi-automatically measure the quality of the output. I think that it's a very important point.
So tell me exactly what is the difference between AI and generative. I understand that generative means that the model itself, the AI model, would create something. It will have an output in the end. So how is it different from an AI that just goes through images and classifies them and understands them and has a different kind of input?
But the AI, the standard AI or the traditional AI also has an output. So this is not, the output is not the difference.
Yeah, right.
In a traditional AI system, the platform says something about the existing data. It gives you recommendation on a Netflix movie. It recognizes a bottle of Coke in a picture. It can tell you something that's happened in this moment, or can try to guess what will happen, but what will happen next, but it will always be on the existing data.
Yeah.
Generative AI generate data that was not there before. It create data. And it can create a text that was not there before. It create visual, a picture of faces, illustration, audio, video, that was not there before. And this is a big difference because it's not only saying something about the data, is to generate data. It's revolution, to my opinion.
Yeah. So I'm asking you, you mentioned bias, and then we have the bias in data because currently we know that most of the images on the internet are not, they're biased, right? So we have more men, we have more white men, this is what we have online, most of the images. How do we make sure that what is the input and the output of this AI would be not biased?
It's a hard task. It's
Yeah,
very hard
it
task.
is.
I think that first of all, you need to acknowledge that this is a challenge you need to face with. Because until 5 or 7 years ago, no one talked about it. So the first thing is that you need to acknowledge that you have a problem. More than that, if someone talked about it in the past, he talked it in the context of how I generate the precision recall, know how I make sure that there will be no bias. It's even worse than that.
Yeah.
The way that we it's not something that you cannot solve bias. If you're aware of the problem and you know that this is what you need to solve, then all of a sudden you find the places that you added into the system as part of the system, and it's become inherently part of it. It's like security. You don't solve for security. It's not like, okay, today we are going to do security. You understand that there are some standards that you need to meet. You understand that there are some routine that you need to keep in order to keep your platform in some level in terms of cybersecurity. Same goes for privacy. Same goes for bias. If you understand that this is part of the challenge, you make sure that your training set or evaluation set is unbiased. You make sure that you check that in advance. You make sure that you compare what you have between different subgroups. It's become part of the system, like security, like privacy.
Yeah. Do you think that AI is, you mentioned it's just a new technology, a powerful technology. It's not that different than other technologies in the past. So do you think that there is any kind of bigger challenge for an entrepreneur going with an AI product? Or it's like just another technology that you need to, I don't know, just to learn and understand?
Each technology has its own cons and cons or challenges. If you are an entrepreneur that doing quantum computing, you have challenge if you do quantum computing today. If you try to do I don't know synthetic protein, synthetic meat, synthetic eggs, you have challenges. It's question where are the challenges. If you are a product company like Monday, you probably don't have a technology engineering or technology challenge, and the challenge lies in some place sales, good product, marketing, something else. In AI, it's in many cases is a research problem. These tools are not mature as we would like them to be. It's a data issue challenge. How can I get to the data? And it's a talent challenge in many cases. And maybe the last one that I mentioned is how you take an AI and make it a product. It's also usually not easy task. It's not one-to-one.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. So, what if somebody would come to you and say, "Okay, I'm thinking about a solution. I'm a starting entrepreneur." What would you tell him? Like what would be the next tip that you would give him in order to start his way as an entrepreneur?
In AI or in general?
You could say like both.
I think that my main tip not the tech tip, not the technological tip, will be spend as much as time as you can to understand the problem that you want to solve and the market that you want to serve. Once you start the journey, it's possible, but it's harder to change the market, and it's even harder to change the problem you want to solve. And don't run. This thing takes times, months to really understand what are you trying to solve and to whom and why, and how much
Yeah.
they will willing to pay, and what kind of alternative solution they have. Don't rush yourself.
Yeah.
AI wise, it's tricky. It's really tricky because if this entrepreneur understand AI, then he probably knows what he's doing. He knows what is AI, and then the discussion will be how you make sure you reduce the time to market, even though that you have research and AI, etc., etc. The problem is with the entrepreneur with great idea, which need AI, but they don't understand an AI, and this is hard. This is hard because develop AI and develop and doing engineering, it's not the same thing. And here I'm trying to convince them that engineering and AI is not the same thing, and bring a talent as soon as you can to do the AI, and let him the freedom to work, because it's not engineering.
Yeah. So you think it's a different way of understanding the problem. So a usual, I would say, a developer would not see the problem or would not be capable of solving this problem. This is what you're saying.
It's a different methodology. If we would ask the same question about hardware, it was clear that the way to develop hardware and develop software is different. No one,
Correct.
no one would surprise when I'm saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the way to develop AI or machine learning and the way to develop engineering is also different,
I
because
see.
it's not the same way of doing the right architecture and engineering, and to think of scale and to be efficient. It's different. The thing that you need to build are different. The expected output of the expected output from AI researcher after 3 weeks is different than what you expect from an engineer.
So you're saying that the timeline is so it needs more time, to create a good AI solution, and that may be a challenge. But for me, as I see it, it sounds like this buzzword that you're saying we're doing an AI. Everybody's using it, even if they're just doing some kind of an automatic solution, whatever, and they call it AI. And how would you define something that is AI and it's not AI? So most people would not really know what is the difference. But you, as someone who comes from there, you would say that almost every company would say this word somewhere in their pitch, right?
We're doing AI, blockchain, virtual reality on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of buzzwords. I think that many company don't really need AI at the beginning. It's too expensive, too complicated, too risky. They don't need it. And in many cases, what they do in some kind of rule machine. If this happened, do this. If this happened, do that. And in many cases, this is what they need to do. If their company is not a pure AI play, a tech, why bother? Why invest all of these resources to do it? And by the way, in many cases, you hear in due diligence and things like that, we collect all the data and then we will monetize the data because we have AI, which means
Yeah.
that we have a lot of data, we have no clue what to do with it, and we hope that someone will pay for us on it, usually.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Um,
course.
um, in many of the cases, you can start with a simple rule-based decision, and that's it. If you do want to do AI and you need it, then you need to invest a lot of time in the infrastructure. How you're going to train it, how to make sure that your training will not accumulate all of your seed money, how you're going to measure it. The measurement of the results are critical. Um, how you balance between something which is showed that it might work, give you a hint that you're in the right direction, but you do it fast, versus something that will give a good results in production, but it's risky and will take you a lot of time. How you make, what do you do in failure cases? It's statistic. It will not be 100% working in the first year, probably. Sometimes even more than that. So what is your failure strategy? All of these questions are not relevant when you just develop engineering-wise product.
Mhm.
Engineering-wise product.
And do you think that it's only a buzzword, or like investors want to hear this word in many cases, I think. Does it make sense that they are impressed by that, or you think it's just overused and that's it?
One thing that I learned in the last 2.5 years is that investors, good investors, really understand what you're saying. They don't know how to build it, they don't know how to do it, but they can evaluate the the level of risk and the level of bullshit of what you're saying. And they are bullshit detector investor, good investor. So if you tell them that, and then we collect all the data and monetize it, and you don't really know how to do it, and you don't even have a plan to understand how you will do it in the future, they will get it. So usually I would not recommend to say something which is not true to investor. It's
Yeah.
not a good practice in general.
Yeah, but I feel like in general, when you're saying the word AI, it's like, wow, this is futuristic. This is like the next thing. This is the future. And maybe it's a hype, and maybe like half a year from now or a year from now it will be different. But right now, it's a very good word to say. And I guess that and if you're really doing AI, let's take that into consideration. It's something that sounds like a very good start for a startup to
That's
have
true,
this.
but then you need to also to take it one level deeper. What does it mean that you do AI? The world is doing AI and machine learning for 25 years now. It's a full spectrum of I'm doing AI. I'm
Right.
taking open source and just use them. I'm taking open source and combine them together. I'm taking open source, combining together, and sometimes need to retrain or maybe even to continue to the research. What does it mean? And what do you know? What do you need in order to solve the problem? The problem you want to solve in the startup. You need the first thing, just to use something open source which is ready, or API, or the last thing has 5 years of research with the six PhD from the Technion.
Yeah.
It's a big spectrum.
Yeah. So I guess that most people would just hear that, and in general, I'm not sure that everybody's listening to us is aware of it, but I think there are so many challenges for an entrepreneur in the startup in general, for all entrepreneurs. And we just said that some of them are different if you're doing AI. Do you think that there is any advantage of doing it? We said that it's a good buzzword if you're really doing it, but other than that,
I think it's a powerful tool. I think it's a very powerful tool. I think that it can solve problems that it's probably you cannot solve it in alternative tool. I think it's a barrier because of the data, because of the research, because of the know-how. In many cases, I believe that it's a barrier. Um, I think that it will be hard to take all the things that we did in the last 2 years in Bria and to duplicate it. You need the right talent, you need the right data, you need the right people, you need the right partner. It's not something easy to do. So I think it's
yeah, it's good.
it's good.
Yeah, one of the things that an investor would first ask is, could you duplicate it easily? And if it's not, so it's a good investment. If it is easy and like let's say that Google notices what you're doing and 5 weeks later it has it, this company has it, so it's not good. So the fact that it is a barrier is a good thing for your
Yeah.
technology,
The,
I
the
guess.
only the only thing that you need to add is that one of the things that investor will look at is the barrier. It's only one of the things out of a full list.
Yeah, so no, I'm just saying that this is an advantage, the fact
I
that you have
agree.
this
I
barrier.
agree.
That's what I'm saying.
Uh, uh,
So,
Look, I have a PhD in computer vision. Obviously, believe that AI is the future of the technology in many sense. I actually think that we talked at the beginning about people that will lose their job, and you said designer might lose their job, and I told her that not that fast. You can ask the same question about programmer, or that
right,
some of them will lose their job because the AI will do it automatically or semi-automatically. But
right.
it's a it's a specific type of designer and a specific type of a programmer that will be in problem at the next 5 to 10 or 1 to 10 years. What I'm trying to say is that you also need to see let's call it if the team that tell you I'm going to solve something with AI is actually someone that really care about AI, understand AI. This is the reason why they choose this solution.
Yeah. So if you're going back to the potential of AI, we mentioned that maybe in the case of Bria, you would have less designer doing work, but it's mainly the easy stuff, something that might be kind of easy for this. For maybe the designer would only be doing strategy design or doing something which is more complex in that case. Do you think?
I don't think that it's easy or hard. Today, it's very hard to generate 10 different version of one campaign ad by changing the expression and the presenter and the background. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do. It will take them days and days, and they probably will not do it because it doesn't make any sense. So it's not a question of hard and not hard. It's a question of scale. If we can automate this process, then now all of a sudden you can have more options. If you are performance marketing, if you are for growth, if you want to be independent as a communicator, all of a sudden you have more options. I think that the designer, some of them, will be able to focus more on the creative side and less on the pixel edit side, which is good because
Yeah.
many of them came to this job because they want to be creative. So now you can be creative. Ask the craziest thing the machine to do, and it will do it for you. You don't need to spend 2 weeks to create it.
Yeah, you could just talk to the machine or print or text whatever you need, and the machine would create it. You could just text, "I'm looking
Hmm.
for this and that's it." So the text to image is something we know, text to speech, and we know that we could talk to a computer and it could answer us like in Siri or whatever. So what is the difference when you're talking to the machine and then instead of the output being the machine talking to you, it would be an image in that case. So there is additional calculations other than just understanding what I was asking, I guess.
Yeah, but again, when we have text to image, the machine text to voice, the machine just read the existing text. It did not invent new text,
Mm-hmm.
right? But now it's invent new image. Even if you modify an image, the modified part are new. Um, it's not only on the visual. Um, so in the visual, you can ask a system to generate something that was not there, or to modify something by text, and it will generate it for you.
Mm-hmm.
In text, you can write a blog. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Ask a computer to write a blog about what are the challenges in AI platform, and give him the points that I want that it will be talent acquisition, data, and measurement. The machine will write it. It will look like a really good blog.
Yeah.
Uh, and,
I
and,
know it's
and
the same for ads. If you want to have like marketing text, and if you want to know exactly what are the words you need to put in the title of an email and all of that.
it's the
I
same
know it's the
technology, by
same.
the way. All the same technology. But now, if you can generate text and ads and movie and illustration and images as that fast, the fast is also a game changer here. Then you
Mhm.
can start have more version, have more A/B testing, have a hyper customization or personalization for your e-commerce campaign. You can do all kind of things that was blocked before. And
Yeah,
this is the game changer. The ability to do it without without the need for professional resources and fast. By the
yeah,
way, without the need of professional resources and fast means scale.
yeah. I totally understand. So, what do you think people and leaders need to know about AI, and they don't understand?
Wow, it's a hard, it's a huge question.
Yeah,
First of all, they need to understand. First of all, they need to acknowledge. They need to understand it. It's not the problem of this engineer. It's their problem. You see that, by the way, in many cases, you see that in with the parents, which says, "I don't understand this technology, and I don't know what my kids are doing in TikTok, and that's it." First of all, they need to understand. It's their problem to understand how does it work, because the impact on society is huge.
I totally
It's huge.
understand. I totally agree what you're saying. I totally agree. And I think
And
that most people just think, yeah, it's another technology, it's another. Okay, it's just that. And I could say, like for me, if we're talking about TikTok and social networks in general, the fact that it's so narrowing the way that you see the world, because these machines are understanding what you need and they're doing exactly only that, and they're just narrowing your point of view of the world, is really devastating for young people and for people in general. And the implications could be their mental health, the way they relate to society, the way they relate to each other, the way they understand the world. So it's like you cannot be like there is nothing more important than that for these young people. And it's not only because it's like most people say, yeah, it's fun, it's humor, they're just doing that for fun, but it's much more than that. So I totally agree with what you're saying right now.
I was bored, and this is a system that helped me not to be bored. No, it's
Yeah.
actually a good thing that you be bored a little bit as a kid. It will give you idea of what. So
Yeah,
I
I
think that
agree.
so I think that going back to your original question, the first thing that leaders need to understand is that it's changed the world and much faster than in the past. When the again going back to Ford, when he invented the car, it was physical, and no one, all the leaders thought, okay, it's something physical in our world. We need to understand how it's going to impact us, and they create rules on that. And they say that a pregnant woman cannot use a car because it's dangerous, which is crazy, but that was the
Mhm.
rule back at the beginning.
Yeah.
But they all understand that it's something that they need to address because it was physical. Last week, the European Union decided that he is not going to create regulation about synthetic media because it's not big enough. Not big enough. Of
What?
course, of,
It's gonna be big enough.
and when it's big enough, it will be too late to create
Yeah.
the.
So you wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't have anything to do.
I think that people get confused if something is virtual, and even more than that, is something is virtual and AI black box, and they say, okay, this is not related to us, it's engineer. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Same goes for blockchain and crypto and everything. It's the same
Same
thing.
algo trading, all the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, I totally
Yes.
agree with that. So it's something that is really important for our world. So I'm going to ask you like two more questions because we're almost done. But I have like two very important things to ask. First, as an entrepreneur, why do you think so many entrepreneurs fail and some of them do succeed?
I'm amazed that some of the entrepreneurs succeed.
Yeah, not many of them. It's like I think like 3%, something like that, 4%.
You need
Per
that
startup, they could do some of them.
you need that everything will work. You need all the stars to work exactly in line on one. All the stars will work exactly at the same line, but all of them. And then after you have all the stars align and all the stars saying your product, market fit, technology, sales process, HR, everything, marketing, everything. After that, you also need the luck.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, what is your number one tip for leaders today?
That try to build a new startup.
Yeah.
Always think what is not working and try to solve it from its source. Don't try to solve the problem, try to solve the source of the problem. But I just throw it out of my head, and probably it's related to the problems that I have today.
Yeah, I totally agree. So where could people hear more about Bria and what you're doing?
First of all, I hope that in the next 3-4 weeks, maybe less, we will have a new website which actually tell what we are doing. I think that this
Ooh,
website is
better still.
60% there. They
Wow.
can play in our playground. They can go
Yeah.
to Bria.ai and start playing with that. A premium version will be available really soon, like
Hmm.
3-4 weeks. And
Wow.
in the next meeting,
Congratulations.
in the next meeting I will discover
Yeah.
the real number, but it should be
Yeah.
in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And I think that the most exciting thing is by the end of this quarter, mid next quarter, it will be integrated in one of the largest stock provider, which is be really
Wow.
cool, really
Wow,
cool.
cool. I'm so happy to hear that and really good luck with what you're doing. And I want to thank you for this talk. It's been very insightful and always fun talking to you.
Always
And
fun.
yeah, always fun. So we should do it more for
We should
sure.
do it more next when I come back to Israel soon. Adi,
Yeah.
thank you
So
very much.
sure, it's been a pleasure talking to you and lots of fun. And to all of you change makers out there, thank you for joining us. And if you want to learn more about what I do, go to invincibleinnovation.com. And I'll see you next week with another innovative, insightful talk. See ya. I'm Mazor Kario, and you've been listening to the Invincible Innovation Podcast. Make sure to visit our website, invincibleinnovation.com, where you can learn more about our programs and my book, Innovating Through Chaos. I'll be waiting for you next week in our next episode. Thank you for listening.